You can make $2,000 a day starting your own leaf removal business this fall, and in today's video, my buddy Kevin's going to walk us through every facet of the business, from equipment needed, how to price jobs, how to market the service, how to get customers, and even the biggest selling points. But QuoteIQ is giving away this F-150 in 8 days to a premium, platinum, or ultimate subscriber, so if you need help keeping up with customers, sending estimates, invoices, or collecting payments, check out QuoteIQ linked in the comment section and the description below. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's start at what equipment do you need in order to get started, and if you can start us at like super basic, you can do it with the rake and kind of go to, what your setup looks like now.
All right, so super basic. Your first cleanups will be using whatever tools you have, because more than likely, if you're starting a business, you don't have a lot of money. So you're going to have, let's just say, a mower, a basic push mower. If you have a bag on the back of it, that's great. If you don't, it is what it is. You're going to have to do a little more work. From there, you got some rakes. So you might want a wide one and then a thin one. I just like using the cheap rakes from Home Depot, Walmart, whatever. You buy them. They break nonstop. It is what it is. But that's what I've come to use. But I've used the more expensive ones. It tends to be a waste of money sometimes. And then in the beginning, you're probably going to use a little crappy handheld blower. If you can shell out for a backpack blower, that's great. It's going to be beneficial for you. The bigger the backpack blower, the easier your life's going to be. Now, having said that, if you're cleaning up leaves and you blow all the leaves out of the flower beds, the one thing about leaves that you don't think about, especially when you go to bid them, is that when you're looking at them right away, it doesn't look like much, but when you blow them out of the flower beds, they poof up. It's like a cotton ball or something, whatever. So they poof up, and then you have to deal with them at a higher level. So sometimes it's easier to clean them up with the mower on the lawn, and then take those clippings and put them in a trash can or a trash bag and put them out on the curb so that they can be hauled away, because you might not have the equipment to haul them away in the beginning. Later, you're going to get a trailer. You'll get a debris loader, stuff like that. Maybe move into a dump trailer, and that stuff's going to make your life easier. A natural progression over several years. Ideally, for me, I like using Echo 9010 backpack blowers. They're great. We pair those up either with a parking lot blower or a stand-on mower or a 60-inch sit-down. And I'll use that, and I use the mowers wide open. So some people like to put a chute blocker on and mulch the leaves on the lawn. I use the mower with the chute wide open, and I use the mower like a big rake. So my goal with leaf cleanup is to push all the leaves towards the street by the curb line where my truck's at, because I'm going to use a big leaf loader to suck them up. It pulls it up like a vacuum, shreds it up in the process, throws it in the back of my truck. When it shreds it up, it condenses the leaves a lot, so I'm able to haul a lot more leaves away. The downside is they're very heavy in the back of the truck, so you do got to pay attention to that. And then unloading them can be a nightmare if you don't have a truck with a dump trailer on there. Now, the other thing you'll want, it's really, really cheap, and you'll find it useful from the very beginning, even later on when you're more developed in your business, is tarps. So what you're going to do with the tarps is if you got leaves in the backyard, you need to get them up front, whether you're bagging them up, putting them at the curb, or you're moving them to your truck to suck up and remove that way. You're going to put the leaves onto the tarp, whether you blow them on with your backpack blower or you use a rake to get them on there. It doesn't really matter. You fold them up, you tie the ends, and then you either drag them out with muscle, or you drag them out and you use your blower underneath. It lifts it up like a hovercraft, or you hook it with a rope to the back of a mower and use the mower to do the work. I like to do the third route, but it's really all up to you. I try to look for the best ways to do something that are going to benefit my body long term, because the reality is, in the lawn care business, it's going to destroy your body. So, those are things you're going to want to look at to just make your life easier. Better equipment, and then utilizing it the best way you can. Like a mower, some people wouldn't do what I do with a mower, but you can replace a mower, you can't replace your back. So use that mower to pull a tarp that's a couple 100 pounds, it's whatever. The other thing you're going to want to think about is, once you have the leaves in a location, you're going to have to think about how you're going to get them off the property. So that's whether you're bagging them up, just putting them in bags and putting them out by the curb, or if I know there's some municipalities that you can just blow them out to the curb and the city will pick them up. There's some areas of the country where they just want them piled up, or move to wooded areas or whatever it might be. If you're in business, don't ever burn leaves for your clients. You'll have some people that request that. I would just say don't take the liability. It's not worth it. And then for us, we actually take our leaves to a local green dump facility, and then they process it and turn it into compost, and then sell it back off somewhere on the market to somebody else. But for me, it costs almost nothing. So, it's like $1.65 to dump my trailer and $1.65 to dump the truck. So it just breaks down to such a cost-effective method to use. But here's the key pieces of equipment I bought. I'm going to go out with just my truck. I'm going to go with push mower with a bag on it. Again, you don't have to have a bag. A bag's just a better option because it's going to help pick it up so you don't have to. And then rake, a trash can, and a couple tarps.
That's all you need to get started pretty much.
Yeah, and some trash bags. Our area, they use clear trash bags. If it's in a clear bag, they'll pick it up. If not, you can put it in a black contractor bag and put refuse stickers on it, and they'll pick it up. But you just have to figure out what your city will do. But yeah, really, really simple, easy setup. We're using, I don't know if I said it, but I got a small little gas-powered hand blower. Avoid electric stuff. I know that's a hot thing right now, but if you can, just know that when you're doing leaf cleanups, it's going to be very, very time-consuming. Even with the best of equipment, it takes time. You're going to be fighting the wind or whatever it is. It seems like it would be easier than it is, and it's not difficult. It's a pretty straightforward thing to do, but it is time-consuming.
It sounds like with a hand blower, though, Kevin, that's going to be terrible. Like, it's going to be just like shaking your arm the whole time, and you know how your hand gets numb.
Well, once you use like one of the big bad boy blowers that are just massive, that's what you want to use. I mean, that's the thing to use. We've got a large parking lot blower too. It's a stand-on blower unit, so it's a 18 horsepower blower unit, blows multiple ways, and it just blows air one way or the other, and we can move a ton of leaves with that. But if you're doing residential properties, it makes no sense. If it's bigger properties, it works great. But yeah, just if you're doing 8,000 square foot properties, 10,000 square foot properties, one or two trees, you can go out and make several $100s cleaning up a property, make some good money in a day. In the beginning, when you're doing them, they take longer, right? Because you don't have the right equipment. So you might only be able to knock out 1 or 2 leak cleanups in a day. So maybe you make $200 or $400 a day. But then, the next year you're able to do 3 or 4 because you learn the techniques a little better and you get a little better equipment, maybe a better blower, a better mower. Down the road, we kind of did, it was about 5 to 8, and a lot of our cleanups were pretty big, extensive cleanups. So
5 to 8 a day?
Yeah.
Dude,
and so, and that's sun up to sundown kind of thing. But in the fall, that's not that long. You're going out, you're leaving, 6 in the morning, you're coming back about 6 at night. It's getting dark. We're going to the dump. We're going to dump everything out probably in the dark, or we're going to do it in the morning. Then we're going to do it the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And you really, really want to take advantage of being able to go out there and cleaning up properties the week before holidays, because that's when it's going to be really busy. And it slows down the week after. That week before the holidays is always nice. And if you have a walk-up client, charge 20-30% more, because you're going to be busy. And there's times that we'll get into bidding. I'm sure you'll ask that stuff. And
that was actually my next question. And so the power washing chick asked it, how do you price leaf cleanup jobs? And my other question was, what is the standard for a house or residential property? And you said it was anywhere from probably about $200, right?
Well, it really depends on the property. Don't walk up to something and say $200. It might be $1,000 cleanup.
Right.
But it might be 150. It really all depends. Some people have minimums, and you'll find that because lawn care, power washing, window cleaning, whatever, it's low barrier entry type work. So you'll have people that come in, and you're always going to have people that do it cheaper than you, but there's always going to be people that do it more expensive than you. And you just have to find what your break-even point is, figure out your profit margin, what you want to put on top of that. And then there are 2 major methods for bidding leaves that people go off of. One is bidding it by the job, which I found is like playing Russian roulette. And I don't enjoy doing it because people say, oh, I never fail. I never bid it wrong. Here's the thing with leaves is that when you're blowing them out, and how I said they fluff up, Well, sometimes they've been sitting there for 2 months and it's rained and they're matted down
Right.
and it looks like it's nothing, right? It's just barely anything there. Well, then you get to blowing on it with your blower, and all of a sudden you got 6 foot high piles in the middle of the yard, and you're going, "Oh man, this
This is
one's
way
going to
more
be
than
a
I thought.
massive job right here."
Is there
Um,
any way to prevent that from happening then? Like, do you go out beforehand and maybe measure how deep the leaves go, or
no, no, leaves are very deceiving. I mean, you can eyeball the property, go there and stuff, but here's what I found is best for me. So there's that method, and here's one more thing about the two methods. There's people on both sides that'll tell you it's wrong one way or the other, and they'll tell you you're an idiot one way or the other. It's whatever works best for your company. For me, I really hated playing Russian roulette. I hated losing 3 jobs out of 10 on being profitable. You know, you go out there and you're like, okay, I got to make this one. We're gonna, take care of it. We're gonna make some money today. You got 2 guys working with you. You're cleaning it up, and then you find out it takes 3 times longer than what you thought, and so you bid it for $200 and it ends up being a $600 job and you're just dying there. So the way that I did it is I always bid per man hour. So I take my break even point, find my man hour rate, figure out what you're going to charge. For our first couple of years when I started doing it that way, I went to $60 a man hour and then 65. And I had no math behind it there. Okay. When I was doing 60 and 65, it's just, I thought that sounds right. I'm going to try bidding hourly. I'm going to pull this number out of nowhere. And it worked. I didn't make much money.
wait, 1665 was your hourly rate?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because you thought of it out of thin air?
Well, I mean, I didn't know anything about business at the time, right? I was still learning. So I just
Okay.
pulled it out of there. I'm like, well, people say $1 a minute. I'm going to do $60. Ultimately, I ended up charging $100 per man hour. And we were profitable for less than that, but I charged $100 per man hour because there's a couple different things that go into the man hour rate, and that's your break even point. But you also can factor in environmental factors like where you live. We're in an affluent area. It's a very busy service. I'm gonna be busy. I know there's gonna be a lot of work. So like when I worked with multiple people, I would charge $100 per man hour, and then later when I went back to being solo, I just charged $150 an hour, and I still closed jobs. But I took on less work because I didn't want to work as much. So I mean,
And you,
it's really wherever you're at. If you can make the phone ring, you can charge whatever you want. If you can close
right.
the job still.
And you were eyeballing this as far as the hourly rate goes. You'd say this is going to take between what, like 6 and 8 hours, or are
No,
you?
that's the great thing. So I moved my business. You can go eyeball stuff, but I don't like driving across town. Tulsa's a pretty big area, right?
So
So
you just tell people it's going to be $100 an hour per
I tell them
per man.
exactly what it is up front. I say, hey, I come out. I got this equipment. I'm gonna come out, blow everything out, load it up, haul it away. It's going to be this much per hour. I've got a 2-man crew. And, the average property in your area, because off their address, I can tell what area of town they're in. So the average property in your area normally takes about this amount of time. But if you have a lot of leaves, it might take longer. Once I get to your property, I can give you a call and let you know if it'll take a little longer. But if you'd like to be on the schedule, I can put you on the schedule. I've got an opening for Tuesday. You want to be on there? Awesome. I thought so. So we'll get them on there. Show up Tuesday, give them a call, say, hey, looks great. I'm going to get going. And then if you're hesitant with hourly rates, right, you can do a cap out rate, which is kind of in the middle between bidding the job and then bidding it hourly. But still, it's like playing Russian roulette. But once you get used to it and you go, okay, I've done 20 jobs that are the same size property, I think I can figure it out. But there's a lot of factors. So, okay, well, the cap out rate is basically you think it's a $200 job, but you're going to bid hourly. So you bid an extra $100 on there. You say, okay, I'm going to put a cap out rate of $300 on this job for you. If it takes less time, I'm going to charge you less. If it goes over than that, guess what? You're not going to have to pay any extra. I'll cap it out at $300. And that gives them a sense of security. You get to go by hourly. Maybe it's $250. Maybe you make $180 off of it, whatever. We had a $100 minimum on our job. So if we came and cleaned up a front yard, we would do $100 minimum. So it's a 1-man hour minimum. So if it took us 30 minutes with 2 guys, it's $100. But yeah, we knocked out a bunch of jobs doing it that way.
Okay, so you didn't tell them. So you would just say, "Hey, it's $100 a man hour. We got 2 guys."
Yeah.
You
So
didn't say,
I'd tell
"I
them
don't."
I'd tell them our man hour rate, and I tell them we have a 1 hour minimum. So
Okay.
if we come out there, yeah, if you want to bid by the phone and you want to close it, the key is to say it with confidence, like you've done it 1,000 times, and
Right.
eventually you've done it 1,000 times. You say it like you say it every day, and then you're very, very transparent and clear with them. And after a while, you'll figure out what the hangups are. And for me, it was, okay, we got these guys coming out. I don't know how much it's going to be, how long they're going to be here. They said they charge by the hour. Just let them know, hey, in this area, this is about how long properties take. So, maybe bidding by the job in the beginning is a good thing. I don't know, because we transitioned, but, I was able to tell how long things take. But still, like I said, sometimes you don't know. And here's where you get the wild card factors. With leaves, they're very deceiving. So you got moisture to contend with, you got frost in the morning, you got wind that can go in one direction, maybe it goes in multiple directions, maybe it shifts throughout the day. But there's a lot of factors like that come into play. How long they've had them on the property, how many obstacles are there? Do they got a lot of trees going around the edge of the property that are ornamental? Do they got a lot of bushes, landscaping? Do they got rock beds? There's so many factors that go into play when you're bidding a job, that if it has a 3-inch layer of leaves on it and you can't see really what's under it and what kind of mulch bed is there? Is it going to be easy to blow over? Is it lava rock under there and it's going to be a nightmare? I might have to pick up a bunch of lava rock afterwards. I don't want to do any of that. Like, I take out all the guessing game and I just say, it's this hourly rate. You want to go for it? Let's go.
Okay. As far as
what I
the
mean?
cap out rate, though, did you give most of the time? Did you give a cap out rate, or you didn't have
The
to?
only time I did a cap out rate is if it was, I never did a cap out rate on the phone. You don't do a cap out rate when it's blind. If you go to the property, say you have somebody that walks up and they want to do the job, and you tell them an hourly rate, and for some reason they might have a hesitation. And you tell them, okay, well, you can fit it in that day, and it's going to be an extra $200 or something, and you don't have anything scheduled for the rest of the day. Or, if you drive 5 miles down the road and you start this next job, you don't know what you're getting into, and it might be one that you have to come back. So you kind of got to balance out when you're doing leaf cleanups. Okay, we've got this on the schedule, but we've also got this one we can fit in right here. We're right there. Let's fit it in now. Extra 200 in revenue. But you look at it and you say, okay, well, $300 cap out rate, but I think we'll finish it sooner. You know what I mean?
Just from the customer's perspective, that's the only thing. Like, if I was to get someone to come, get the leaves out of my yard, I would be like, okay, y'all charge $100 an hour. It's 2 of y'all per man hour, right? So it's $200 an hour. What if it takes 5 hours? You know what I mean? That's like
Exactly.
$1,000.
Yeah, and they'll have that, and that's where the cap out rate gives them some comfort.
Right. Okay, great. We won't go over 300.
Yeah, and then typically, if they've seen you work or it's a referral from a friend, a lot of your customers in leaf business will be customers that have worked with you through the years, so they know your work ethic, how you work. They know that you're not going to be out to screw them, that you've got integrity. And then you'll get referrals, or you've been after a few years, you'll be in the neighborhood enough that you're seen as an established business. And if you're seen as an established business and you have authority in that area, you have a little less discomfort from people with that stuff. So we never had that much backlash. We'd have maybe 2 out of 10. But like I said, when you're going through the conversation, you just lay it out and say, yep, this is the way we do it. And you say it like you've done it 1,000 times. Again, let them know, hey, we're in your area and we've done a lot of properties in that area. Right now, with how everything's going, they're typically taking about an hour or 2 hours, whatever. But, and when we show up on properties, we don't take breaks or anything. So like if it's an 8-hour job, we're working 8 hours. So, that's just how it was for me.
Right. Yeah, but another thing that you had figured out was the lead flow, right? Because you had mentioned earlier, the more lead flow you have, the higher you can charge. Like, price doesn't even become an issue because you just have customers coming in all the time. And that was probably one of the best parts of your business.
Yeah. Once we got everything flowing correctly, man, life was easy. We started making more money. We started getting we jumped from, it was weird. Like I hit a plateau in my business where we were doing like 5,000 a month in revenue, and then went to like 10,000 and go back to 7 or 8. And we had like this comfort zone for a year. And I'm like, man, how do I just get that 10,000 consistently? And it's like, boom, 15,000, $20,000 months. And that was really cool. So, it's, of course, leaf season. I just look at that more as a season extension. So with
Right.
the lawn care business, you can project what lawn care clients you have, but you can also project how many leaf cleanups you're going to have from lawn care. So, you try to, from those clients, you try to gauge it and let them know, hey, we're going to be here and take care of your leaf cleanups. And that gives you a lot of work starting out. And then from there, you advertise off those properties or, get more clients from there.
And then with regards to saying we're going to take care of your leaf cleanups, is that like on a recurring schedule that you can, go out there? Is it like every few weeks, if every few months? Like, can you
Yeah.
get
So I just say, hey, do you want your leaves cleaned up? And I just show up whenever. That doesn't work good. Right.
right?
Like it can work that way, but it doesn't work good. So I'd let them call me or I'd drive by and say, hey, do you need this done? Stuff like that in business doesn't work. Just get it on a schedule. So you just let them know, give them 2 or 3 options. You can say, hey, we can come in weekly. We can come in twice a month. We can come in once a month. How do you want it?
Right.
If you're working in the very beginning of your business and you're doing leaf cleanups consistently, don't do it once a month. You're going to have so much volume that you can't handle it. If you've got a big leaf loader and stuff like that, you can handle volume, because when it's once a month, you have to remove a lot of material from the property. When it's once a week, you can actually use the mower and mulch it into the grass, and a lot of times it's not an issue. Or you can mulch it and then bag some, but there's different methods that you'll have to use for cleanup. So when I say mulch, I just mean shredding up the leaves underneath the mower, letting it fall into the grass. And then, a lot of people like that for fertilizing, but the only way you can make that happen is if you're consistently doing it, small amounts. But you're going to run into, most trees during the season will either have 1 or 2 heavy drops. So our first big heavy drop is going to be maples, softwood, stuff like that, birch. And they're going to drop first thing in the fall. So about this time of year, early November to mid-November. And then you're going to get your oak trees that are going to drop real heavy, and everything else is going to drop around that same time. But the oak trees are where we get all our money around here. So the maple trees, they're really easy to clean up unless they leave them all year, and then they get down in the grass, and then they're a nightmare. That's the other thing, is leaves clean up different throughout the season. So you're going to find that your people that are really, really cheap waited all year long, and they want to clean up once, and they want it super cheap in January or right before Christmas. And it's going to be the worst cleanup that you've ever done. But cleaning them up once a week. The oak trees, we'd have the big heavy drop from oak trees. We get a big drop in the middle of November, where it's heavy 1 week, and then it's a slow drop till probably January 1st. And then from there, they hold the rest of the leaves, and then we get a big heavy drop early spring, typically in March, right before they get their new foliage.
I never realized how intricate leaf cleanup was.
Oh yeah, there's like a whole strategy to it. And then you can get into stuff like magnolia trees drop leaves during the summer, or you got heat stress, your heat stress leaves towards the end of the summer where you got drought or stuff like that, or in August. You're going to clean that stuff up when you're mowing the lawn. You're typically going to mulch that stuff. But that's your indicator. You want to start thinking about leaf season back in August. You want to make sure you have all the equipment ready. You want to make sure you have your advertising ready ahead of time. And that way, you're ready to go. When the leaf season comes, you can start putting out yard signs on the properties when you clean them up. That's something that we did a lot. You can do door hangers, Facebook targeted ads, referrals from your clients. This is whatever way you want to do. You just want to pick 3 or 4 different types of advertising and just hammer down on them until you're getting a ton of leads.
So that was one of the questions I was going to ask, was how long does the season last? So you said August should be when you're ramping up and getting ready for it. And then what does it roll into?
Well, so August is when you're thinking about it. You're making sure you're prepared. You always want to be prepared for something ahead of time. And that way you're ready to go. Have all the equipment ready, even if you're not using it. Have the advertise. The biggest thing is the advertising. You don't want to order advertising once the season started, because you're too late. By the time you get the advertising, get it out, you're too late. You missed the heavy wave, So the season here is typically November, December. So we'll start doing leaf cleanups basically November 1st to 15th. somewhere in that range, depending on temperature and how much moisture we had that year. The week before Thanksgiving is insane. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be busy. It's going to be a big money making week. So you're going to work all the way until Thanksgiving. You got family life going on, just it's not happening. You're working to the holiday. So
Right.
after that, you get a little rest after Thanksgiving. Take a few days off, enjoy yourself. But you're getting right back to work after that. You're going to work all the way to Christmas. The week before Christmas is going to be nuts. It's going to die off after that. And then January, you got, the New Year's, you'll get a few people that want it cleaned up before New Year's. But that's it. Leaf season's 2 months here. So you better go out and work every day, make as much as you can, be prepared to work weekdays, weekends, whatever it takes to get everything done. Because the other thing is these jobs take longer. So if you're in the lawn care business, you can knock out 20 lawns a day doing that in your lawn business. You can only knock out 5 or 6 big cleanups a day. You might only be able to knock out 1 big leaf cleanup a day. So you're not going to be able to handle the same amount of volume as far as clients that you can flow through. So you got to be prepared for that too, especially if your equipment's not right. In the beginning, your equipment's not right. So you're going to do some leaf cleanups. It's going to be heavy work and you're just not quite prepared. But from there, around here, January and February are dead. So you better be looking at ways to extend the season.
Right.
What's next for spring, but that's a different video topic than leaves.
Dude, so what is the max you can make? Like, as far as when you had like the best setup and you had the most workers, like where can you cap out at on leaves as far as like how much you can make in a day?
I mean, we would typically do between, 1,000 to 2,000 a day. It just depends on what we're doing, how many guys we had working that day, what kind of projects, how wet it was, and just different factors. I mean, but we were charging by the hour, so as long as I kept the guys busy, it's man-hour rates. But again, when you're charging by the hour, you better be ethical. They got to work hard, and you better take care of them too. You got to pay them good.
Let's talk about the biggest job you ever did. Did y'all do like a super giant leaf cleanup? Like,
you just want to know specifically biggest leaf cleanup?
Yeah, like was there anything crazy, like a huge commercial job or anything like that?
So you can break that into the different setups I had. Biggest cleanup my first year with the crappiest setup I had, which was a pull-in handheld blower, a rake, and trash bags. That was it. That's all I had on the first one. I think I may have I had a push mower as well, but it didn't have a bag. It just had a side chute. So my first job was, I don't know, 15,000 square foot property, which doesn't sound like much, but I show up, I'm like, this isn't much, right? Because you just think the lawn, you're looking at the lawn.
Right.
Well, I'm looking at the lawn and I'm seeing a small area of the lawn that's actually turf. The rest is rock beds. It's got big rock ledges and retaining walls. And I don't think anything of that. I think of the lawn. I'm like, I'll just cut it for $50. I'm thinking I'll clean up the leaves for $50. So I told him $50 to clean up the leaves. I was there for 2 days and I made no money. And it was my first big Russian roulette lesson.
As far as marketing these jobs, you kind of mentioned yard signs was a good way, Facebook ads, and door hangers. Is there any other marketing strategies that worked really well with regards to leaf cleanup?
Yeah. So being well ranked on Google helps. Having a Google Maps listing, sending your clients to get a review on Google Maps listing for you.
Specifically listed for leaf cleanup? Did you have multiple for lawn care and leaf
cleanup?
No,
you can just do it for your lawn care business or your leaf business, however you're doing it. But throughout the year while you're doing lawns, you want to send people over there. So if you do 50 clients a week, but you do another 50 clients that are one-off jobs throughout the year, your goal is to get 100 reviews from those people. You're going to do far more than that if you're in the lawn care business. But your goal is to get, if you service 200 clients, your goal is to get 200 reviews. That's where you want to be. That's not where we were at in our business, but that's what I figured out really, really quick, right? I paid a lot of money, went to a seminar, learned a bunch of lessons from guys that have multi-million-dollar businesses. And one of the easiest things for my business to implement was just getting reviews on Google. I started getting reviews, and then within like 2 weeks of our business, we started picking up multi-million-dollar mansions on like the really, really nice area of town, which was really cool. I was like, oh man, this is paying off. And so it gets you excited. But yeah, Google was one that I should have put energy into much sooner in my business. And then Facebook ads always worked pretty good. And then our biggest one for leaf cleanup though was the yard signs. So I don't have any around here, but they're like, yard signs that you got the metal stakes. There we go. You stick them in the yard, and you put them on all the lawns that you do for leaf cleanup. So every lawn's trashed out by leaves in that neighborhood, right? Well, there's one that just sticks out like a sore thumb because all the leaves are cleaned up off of it. You got your sign there. Every every neighbor comes home after work that day. They see that yard. The wife tells him to clean it up. He doesn't clean it up. The wife gives you the call. It's always the woman that calls. If the man calls, the woman's made the decision, though.
Right. Okay, awesome. So Google reviews, door hangers, yard signs, Facebook ads. As far as selling the service, why is it that people are getting this done? And I only ask this because, like, here in Louisiana, we don't really have a fall, so there's not like a ton of leaves. So just kind of break that down for me a little bit too. Do people not like having leaves in their yard?
No, it's a luxury service for one. So you can price higher because it is a luxury service. So if your schedule is full, price higher again because it's a luxury service. But you have that factor. So whenever you have something that's a luxury, whether it's a iPhone, Lexus cars, whatever, people want nice. Their neighbor had their yard clean, they want their yard clean. So you have that factor. But the other thing is you have people that want to take care of their lawn. And while mulching leaves into a lawn with a small amount of leaves is healthy for the lawn because it acts like a natural fertilizer, here we have such a large volume of oak leaves and different leaves that might have acidic properties to them that you want to remove a lot of that, especially the oak leaves, just because it's so much that if you shred it on the lawn, it's going to kill off your grass, your landscaping. And the same thing, if you just leave it sitting there, next year you're going to have massive dirt spots. And if something grows back at all, it's going to be weeds.
Right.
People don't want weeds in their lawn, especially if they're paying. Your clients aren't going to be the people that don't take care of their lawn. Your clientele is going to be the people that take care of their lawn all year. They have weed control done, or they got kids. Kids is a big one typically. Things like that. We have an oak tree, and the only reason I clean up the leaves on my property is because my wife complains about the little nuts everywhere, and then she's stepping on them, or they walk out to the car barefoot and it hurts and they throw a fit. And so I get out there and clean up my lawn last after everybody else.
Nice, man. Okay, well, sweet. That's pretty much everything I had. As far as any other tips that you can give with regards to leaf removal or somebody looking to get started, what else would you say? Anything else, Kevin?
No, I mean, I could probably ramble all day, but just get out there and hustle and don't be scared to make a mistake. You're going to mess up. You're going to bid them wrong. You're going to feel like you're not making money every now and then, but you're going to make a lot of wins too. And if you don't make some mistakes, you won't make money anyways.
Absolutely. Well said. Beautiful. Every guest that comes on the channel, I speak the word of the day. What would you like the word of the day to be?
Man, you always do that to me.
I do that. I put you on the spot. Could be anything. Could be leaf. Could be acorns. Could be nuts. It doesn't matter.
No, I'll do my channel name, Lawn Care Juggernaut. If you don't advertise yourself, if you're not willing to talk about yourself and advertise yourself, nobody else will.
Absolutely. Let's have a contest. Who can spell Juggernaut without looking it up? If you made it this far in the video, comment down below, Lawn Care Juggernaut, and I'll hashtag you a real one. I appreciate you for coming on, Kevin. You gave us some great insights, man. I really appreciate it.
Man. Absolutely. Anytime.